Many have pointed out that the Temple of Time found in Breath of the Wild appears similar to the one found in Ocarina of Time. However, there is one difference that may tell us something about the game's story. Very uniquely, Breath of the Wild seems to be telling its narrative using the environment itself, and it seems as though the game's atmosphere is also sharing this trend. So what is Breath of the Wild trying to tell? Well, it very well may be something rather depressing. One of the differences between the Temple of Time found in Breath of the Wild versus the one in Ocarina of Time is this. Within the BTW variant, you see a statue of the goddess Hylia inside. In Ocarina of Time, there really isn't any statue of the sort no matter how much I try to glitch the game. And notice it is a statue of Hylia. To bring a brief recap, the goddess Hylia is the guardian of the Triforce. The Sheikah acts as her attendant. Over the course of Skyward Sword, she became a flesh and blood being, thus beginning the line of many Zeldas. Hylia is referenced many times within Breath of the Wild. The Sheikah monks, for instance, speak in servitude to Hylia. Now, if there is a statue of her standing inside of the Temple of Time, what does this indicate? Well, this leads into another curious piece of information. According to Hyrule Historia, the first kingdom of Hyrule was established after the Era of Chaos. And according to the same source, Ganon made his first appearance in Ocarina of Time. Based on this logic, Breath of the Wild should take place sometime after Ocarina of Time. However, there is one possibility to consider, that there might not be just one, but two Hyrule castles in Breath of the Wild. We all know of the castle that is being inhabited by Calamity Ganon, but we do have a possibility of another castle that is in ruin. Remember the Temple of Time? In Ocarina of Time, Hyrule Castle is literally right next to the building. And talking to another Zelda theorist and good friend, Zeltic, we came to a conclusion. Near the ruins, there is a stone bridge that appears similar to the one right next to the castle in Ocarina of Time. But the castle is nowhere to be found. Did the castle get destroyed? Based on the state of the decayed ruins surrounding the area, it is a possibility. Additionally, surrounding the area, you do see walls that appear similar to the one found in Ocarina of Time. So, are there really two Hyrule castles? How do we explain this? Well, Link has been sleeping for about 100 years. Perhaps prior to these 100 years, a war or a conflict of some sort may have occurred. However, if there are two Hyrule castles and only one got destroyed, that implies that these two castles existed at the same time, which is a bit strange. Why would there be two castles? This may explain the location of the Master Sword. In the child timeline including Ocarina of Time, the sword rests inside of the Temple of Time. But in Breath of the Wild, the sword may not even be located in the building as far as we know. The sword apparently is located outside in a forested region. If there are two Hyrule castles, then maybe the sword got transported somewhere else for whatever reason. Perhaps this may explain why the Master Sword is rusted. Calamity Ganon is being held prisoner in the intact castle, presumably by the Sheikah using these pillars. So what happened? Did Calamity Ganon come in and destroy the old castle and then somehow got imprisoned in the new one? Was he after Princess Zelda? Well, we can make a theory on the topic. Back to the Temple of Time. Notice that this building is the only one that is intact. Everything else is in ruin. So how do we explain this? Why did this particular building survive? Near the temple we see old guardians. These technological beasts are made by the Sheikah, and as we stated, the Sheikah serve Hylia, and a statue of Hylia is inside the Temple of Time. Could it be that the Sheikah defended this castle town? It is possible. The old man actually says that the Sheikah defended Hyrule before. When asked about the topic, this is what he had to say. Long ago, an advanced civilization known as the Sheikah inhabited these lands. It was the power and wisdom of the Sheikah that saved this land time and time again. But their civilization disappeared long ago, or so it is said. I may be going on a limb here, but were the Sheikah at war? And if so, who were they fighting against? Current information would state that Calamity Ganon came in, destroyed this Hyrule castle, then the Sheikah came in and trapped Ganon in the other Hyrule castle using these pillars. But doesn't that seem kind of strange? Perhaps there is something else that is missing from the story. On a more speculative note, this is sounding like what may have happened between the events of Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess. Both potentially have two Hyrule Castle towns, one that is intact and the other that is in decay, and the one in which Calamity Ganon resides does appear similar to the one in TP. Plus, you do have similar animals. For example, the boars in Twilight Princess do make a return in Breath of the Wild, along with the Bridge of Hylia. However, there are flaws to this notion. The Temple of Time found in Twilight Princess does appear different to the one found in Breath of the Wild. Plus, how do we explain the Koroks? Remember, these guys evolved from the Kokiri during the adult timeline. However, in Twilight Princess, the Kokiri just disappeared. Also, apparently if you manage to gather a bunch of Korok seeds, something special might happen. Not sure what it is, it could be plot related or not, but I thought I might bring it up nonetheless. Needless to say, there are a lot of questions about a timeline placement for the game, since it is incorporating many aspects found in different timelines. It could be either in the adult or child timelines, but knowing Nintendo, it might go somewhere else we least expected. On a last note, there is one point of interest not a whole lot of people are talking about. What does this flower mean in the Breath of the Wild logo? At face value, it may not seem much, but in pretty much all other Zelda logos, the design does indicate core aspects about the game at large. So what does this flower mean? Well, we see similar looking plants near the Master Sword. An interesting thing to point out though is that within A Link to the Past, you can see flowers around the Master Sword too. A nice little nod. The flower may or may not have story connections. Perhaps it is symbolic. Maybe it will act as hints to find the actual location of the blade. Who knows? Lastly, I noticed something particularly interesting in some Breath of the Wild footage. The description of a weapon in the game, the Traveler Spear, kind of alludes to something. The description reads, Traveler Spear, a spear used mainly by travelers to fend off wolves and other beasts. Notice the term wolves, which naturally alludes that there will be wolves in the game. We all know of the Wolf Link companion, in which you use an amiibo to summon him. But what if there are other wolf companions in the game that don't need amiibo support? Maybe Wolf Link is just an exclusive wolf companion among many others Link could come across in his journey. Now, do you guys think that this is likely? I asked around in a poll at Hyrule Amino to get your thoughts on the subject. The votes are even. 8 voted yes that there will be other wolf companions, and another 8 voted no. So what do you guys think? Will there be other wolf companions? Nonetheless, there are unresolved questions. What in the world happened to Hyrule before Breath of the Wild? If there are 2 Hyrule castles, then did that have anything to do to make the land into a post-apocalyptic mess? Is Ganon really the villain in this? I am having second thoughts about whether or not he is the main antagonist. What is Hylia's role in this? Who is the old man really? If Link was asleep for 100 years and somehow lost his memory, then did he have something to do with the state of Hyrule? Honestly, the more story elements we receive from this game, the more the plot thickens. Next video, we will be tackling some new info regarding Nintendo's latest console, the NX. Hoped you enjoyed the theory, everyone. If you have any thoughts or theories of your own regarding this topic, then comment below. We would love to hear it. Anyways, I enjoyed our time talking to you. Please have a safe and relaxing rest of the day. Subscribe if you like the content you see, and take care.